Welcome back to another episode of PB Ballers. South Korea has punched their ticket to the 2026 World Cup with a 2-0 victory over Iraq in Basra. I got PJ and Charles joining me on the pod. How we feeling, boys?
Feels great, man. 11th World Cup ever. I mean, a win feels good, and we showed a good second half, scored more than one goal, and had 무실점, clean sheet. So just off that, man.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, the first, 10, 15 minutes weren't the best. We were going at the Oseon there for a while until Iraq decided to get a red card. Heung-min with the Oscar for the acting job with the graze to the face, but we'll take it. We looked a lot better after the red card. Everything just changed right after that. Subs were good, and I like the new guys that came in, so pretty positive result.
Yeah, so just to give our viewers some background on the match, we played Iraq away in Basra. This is our penultimate World Cup qualifying match. For about the first, I would say, like 10 to 25 minutes or so, Iraq looked a bit dangerous. Our attack was pretty disjointed as usual, given Heung-min's lack of tactics. And then Iraq's striker for the match, Ali Al-Hamadi, decided to play some karate and just did a flying kick that caught the face of Cho Yu-min. The referee gave him a yellow card for that at the beginning, then went to VAR and then rescinded it and gave him a straight red. Basically, at that point, turned the tide of the match. And at that point, I think the result was pretty much inevitable in our favor. We got 2 goals from Kim Jin-gyu, who actually is basically making his debut for the national team, and also Oh Hyung-gyu back the second one. So pretty straightforward after that red card. Maybe I'm being a little negative because I don't like Myung-bo, but I think that he did get a bit lucky today. And Paul, you mentioned this in our match ratings on X, that I think we still didn't look very good until the red card. So I can't really judge too much like this game because we did, have some good luck, right?
Yeah, and then we have to mention, I mean, he's done this quite a few times now where we haven't looked good or his initial tactics weren't great, but then he would make good second half adjustments and then somehow we'd walk away with the result. So, anything less than a 2-0 win would have been disappointing today, especially with how long that they had to play, with a one-man down disadvantage. We kind of controlled the ball basically later in the first half and all of the second half, so it was just about being clinical, and thankfully we were able to do that. So yeah, he's been pretty fortunate, I think, with these scenarios, but it is what it is. We're on to the World Cup, and then I guess we'll all meet together when Korea plays in the group stages.
I mean, so usually I think about how this game impacts long term, but I feel like his strategy and all our intention as fans is just get the dub here so we can get the 확정, just get confirmed for the World Cup. So I didn't have too much of a problem with I had a problem with the conservative approach, but I think he had the plan set before, to use the K-League players, which is why the call-ups this time, there's no Chuno, Ji-sung, etc. He was trying to use players in form to get the dub in these 2 legs, which he accomplished that. Obviously, fortunate to get the red card. But yeah, it does bring a lot of questions looking forward. I don't think any of us believe that these K-League players might play a pivotal role. Maybe Kim Jin-gyu, Kim Jin-gyu, and Chun Jin-woo, maybe, but we know this isn't our full squad, so maybe some more questions. But ultimately, I think we look at the short term for this game. We know we just wanted to get qualified, and ultimately we achieved that. And we did other baby wins. We had a clean sheet. We usually give up and concede silly goals. So defense was prime against the 10-man offense. So yeah, I don't think we should think too much about how this is going to impact World Cup 2026.
Yeah, fellas, I think the real test is going to be in September, I believe, when the KNT comes to the United States for friendlies against the USMNT and Mexico. Granted, I don't think either one of those teams are kind of at peak level. They have their own issues within their teams, but I think that they're much better quality than the opponents we've been playing in this round of qualifying. So I want to reserve my judgment of this team, but also Myung-bo for then. I know it's kind of hard to look ahead too much, but our team that we saw today is going to be a lot different then as well, because we have a lot of injuries, as you guys mentioned. Son Heung-min, obviously, our captain, wasn't even in the squad today because he was nursing an injury that he was dealing with in the Europa League final. He'll obviously be back. And then you'll also probably just have different guys on this roster depending on who's in form in the fall. Looking ahead to those matches, guys, I still don't see any reason to hope that we'll do better against the USMNT or Mexico. I think right now I'd be happy with the draw in both those games and just not to lose badly to either one of them.
My concern is I don't know what our set starting 11 is going to be and what kind of strategy and tactics we're going to go with. It seems like, as Charles brought up, that Myung-bo's kind of just trying to go through the motions here and get the dubs to qualify. But really, from this point on, we have to kind of solidify that starting 11 and what kind of the idea of what kind of football we're going to play. And I still think he's kind of tinkering a little bit, especially up top, where you're going to go Oh-seun or you're going to go Oh Young-gu. What are you going to do? Today Oh-seun was pretty much nullified here. He was there for the Bong Chukwu in the beginning and won a couple headers. That was great, but it didn't really amount to anything. And we didn't get any quality crosses into him for him to do any damage, prior to the red card and even afterwards. So, I'm curious what they're going to do as far as starting lineups go, especially with, what's Hwang Hee-chan's role going to be going forward? What's Son Heung-min's role going to be going forward? Is there going to be a shift as far as younger players coming in, or are we still going to stick with the experienced players in 2026? So I think we definitely have to get that out of the way to know what we're going to see at the World Cup. And so that's a big question mark moving forward for us.
Yeah, I mean, I always bring this up, but Hong has a really tough job. Like, I think there's no template for these group of players. Even all of us as football fans and Korean national team fans, we have ideas of where we think players would be optimized in their positioning. But Sonny's getting older by the season. Minja's hurt, out of form. Kang-in's between transfers. All these off-season transfers for all our players are going to impact their role. And Myung-bo has a lot on his hands, so that's number one thing. But PJ and Albert, I wanted to take the conversation this way. Like, let's hit the kind of the two stars that did play, the normal template players, Kang-in and Hee-chan. And we can talk about Oh-seun. Like, I think there's things from this game that we can connect looking forward. And some of those questions that were raised was like, what the hell is going on with Hee-chan? I think he's losing that starter role. I think Oh Hyung-gyu is winning the 9 position. And then Kang-in, he's kind of, I mean, you're our Kang-in expert, PJ. He's transfer talks, not in form, hasn't played in a minute. Let's start with Hee-chan because I feel like he missed a freaking sleeper. And then
Yeah.
I felt like, and definitely in the first half, pre-red card, Myung-bo's same Myung-bo tactics, draw the defense to Kang-in's side, Bong Chukwu to the left, switch, and then when the ball would fall on Hee-chan, he would always lose it, fall down. He's a horrible passer anyway, so he wasn't getting the ball in the middle for the cut. A lot of and I used to love Hee-chan. I feel like he brings something for the team that we don't have, like this athletic pace down the left and a good finishing ability, but he's not hitting on any of those 2 nails. So I feel like his role is becoming a net zero.
I mean, I'm hoping it's game rust because he hasn't been playing much either, coming off an injury too. Because he did, much like Sonny did, looked in the Europa final. I didn't see that burst that I'm usually seeing from Hee-chan on the left side there. He had a couple of runs where I thought he was going to run past the Iraqi defender, and it didn't happen. Like the Iraqi defender was sticking with him. As we all know, his touch isn't the greatest, so it's really about pace and getting in front of or getting behind the defense and then making something happen in open play. But he wasn't able to do that. He wasn't able to separate from the defense like we're used to. And if he doesn't have that in his bag going forward, I don't know what he really brings to the table. As Charles hinted there, like he missed a sitter there where I thought he scored, but it was actually on the side net. A couple of times when he had a chance to make some moves, he'd lose it or fall, and it just wasn't a good look. And I really hope for Hee-chan and Kang-in's sake, because Kang-in looked a little rusty as well, a little sluggish, especially in the second half, is that it's just game rust, and they haven't been playing. Kang-in just coming from Champions League right over, trying to play. We got the job done, but a lot of question marks still, especially when you're talking about 2 of our biggest names not really, I don't want to say playing not as well as we thought they would, but still looking sluggish and rusty out there, so that is a concern.
I think the bigger problem, guys, is just where he was playing guys again, playing Lee Kang-in on the right-hand side again, playing Park Kyung-woo in the middle of the field. By the way, Park Kyung-woo, I think this is debatable, but depending on who the referee was, could have gotten a red card for his elbow to the head of that Iraqi player. Again, it worked today. Kang-in had a sweet shot that he hit off the post, but I think against better teams, Kang-in's going to get double teamed again. He won't find as much space. The Hee-chan thing, I think I am worried about him too. I don't think he should start anymore for this national team, but I think it's more of that Sonny wasn't here today, so Sonny would probably play it on the left-hand side. But there's also an argument to be made that Sonny, as he's aging, might not be so good out wide anymore for us, and that maybe we should start playing more centrally. But again, that's another whole nother can of worms. But I mean, yeah, we got the dub, but again, he keeps playing guys in the same old positions we know that they probably aren't most effective in. And that is what really concerns me long term, because Iraq got the red and we won. It's like he won't take any lessons from this other than, oh, well, I'll just keep doing what I've been doing and I'm sure it's going to work because I've been winning. In reality, he's kind of been almost fumbling his way into these victories, I think. So that's a point of concern for me. And just also, I'm disappointed that we didn't see like other, options in CDM, get a chance to play today. Someone like Park Jin-sop, who's been called up for the first time in a while, I think, but he actually played pretty decently in the Asian Cup when he had a few of the substitute appearances. Again, even with the keepers, I think next game against Kuwait, I like Choi Yong-woo. I think he deserves to be the starter for now, but be nice if Myung-bo could rotate and put in another younger keeper. And I think that's one thing we should look forward to, guys, is, we have one more qualification game left in Seoul next Tuesday, I believe, at 8 p.m. Not the match doesn't really matter as much because qualification is secured, but I mean, I would like to see a lot of rotation for that match and a lot of players play who you normally wouldn't expect. I think this is kind of the point of national team games where you're already kind of confirmed to qualify. You should play guys who you usually don't play just for them to get a chance of playing in front of the home fans, but also just getting some cohesion within the national team. I'll let you guys go after this, but for the next match, I would like to see goalie changed for sure. I'd like to see maybe a new fullback pairing on the sides and a different CDM tried in the middle of the field next to Hwang-in.
Yeah, Yeonbum too. I think would be a good place to look. At least give him a look there, just to see what we got. We've seen Kwon Kyung-won so many times now. Not saying that he was bad. Again, going against 10 men today, I don't really think that was a test for our defensive line much. So I'd like to see that. I was really impressed with Kim Jin-gyu, and we're all kind of known as Park Kyung-woo haters, but I thought the second half changed when he got subbed in. It just seemed so much more fluid. Once he was there was a good triangle of passes between Kim Jin-gyu and Seoryong and Lee Gang-in on that right side. That looked really good for a while there. He has a different type of movement compared to Park Kyung-woo, who's a lot more stationary and statuesque, I guess. So it was cool to see that fluidity from there, and it just seemed to spark our offense a bit, especially down that right-hand side. And, there's a lot of new faces there. I think we probably don't need to see Moon Sung-min, if I'm being honest. I don't know about that one.
He had the assist or the cross.
Oh, you mean the one that was in the air for about 20 seconds? Yeah, I remember that was a good one. Yeah, I mean, since we're qualified now, I'm not sure exactly what the starting line is going to be. I'm sure it's going to be a mix of usual names and some new players. But we'll see what happens. I'm interested to see some new faces.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about this next game and like the way he called up the team is I would have wanted to see like Pejuno, Ji-sung, all those cats kind of get a run in this Kuwait match. But because again, I don't know or think outside of Kim Jin-gyu, like, and yeah, honestly, for anybody that's gonna make the squad for the World Cup run. So this Kuwait game's a wash. But I think, yeah, I mean, I want to hit on something you hit on, PJ. Like lessons we learn, Albert, you hit on too, that Hong could learn. And we talk about this all the time, is like, what is the optimized Korean team, especially in the midfield? Because we don't have a roster, a talent pool for that defensive midfielder spot. And I think if Hong learned a lesson today, it was just put two offensive-minded midfielders in there. And that's the best we got. And yeah, against World Cup quality teams, we might give up some goals and get ran on. But I think our best shot to win is our best defense is a good offense and some attempt at possession football, I think. Because we have so many players in the middle that are kind of like the Lee Jae-sung, Hwang In-bum, Lee Gang-in midfield we always talk about. And then we have others off the bench that we're seeing a lot of quality from right now. So makes me think of, but it's going to turn us into a one-style team. But unfortunately, I think our talent pool caters to that. We can't play a defensive, tight, scrappy game. I don't think counter-attacking football anymore.
So just to like push back, I guess, or play devil's advocate, I agree that we should play a more offensive game without number 6 against weaker teams that we know are not as good as us. But I think when you get to the World Cup, it's going to be more difficult to do that, especially as you hit the round of 32 and the round of 16, because there's better teams. So I think in some matches in the group stage you can get away with that, but I actually would argue that our problem in the last World Cup was the fact we did not play defensive organized football against the likes of Brazil, which is why we were torn apart. So I think
but
actually
against like Uruguay, like we were like, that was one of the best best matches I've
Yeah,
seen us
yeah,
play.
for
So
sure. But again, Uruguay, I think, didn't really attack as much as they could with Diego Alonso. I think he wasn't the best manager. I'm just saying that I think that we have to have a manager who's able to make us play both ways, if that makes sense. At least not park the bus Atletico Madrid style, but at least park the bus, or I guess defend in a way that's a bit more structured.
here's the thing,
Because
Albert. Here's the thing, Albert. I usually agree with that, but every time we play like that, like in the first half, we can't even score against a 10-man Iraq.
I think the fact that we couldn't score against a 10-man Iraq and struggled, it shows maybe we shouldn't be all out aggressive offensively, because I don't know if a 6 would have made a huge difference. I mean, this team offensively, I don't think as good as we think it is. So what I'm saying is that, yeah, you're right. Like against smaller teams, we can do that. But I think, dude, against a better team, we are going to get caught on the counter, especially considering the fact that, Yong-woo sucks. And then if you put another 8 in there, it's like 8s usually don't track back as well as a traditional 6. So I think that depending on the team you play in the group stages, man, maybe we could do it depending on, the matchups we get. But I think, especially in September, even against the USMNT in Mexico, teams with like a lot speedier wingers than we saw today, playing that way could get us burned, but I could be wrong. And I'm curious actually what Paul thinks about this little debate we have going on.
No, I mean, I think we need to test it out. Whether we get burned or not, like, let's see it. If it happens, okay, then, that's what these friendlies are for. We learn a lesson there, like, maybe we can't do this style of football. Maybe it doesn't work. Maybe we do have to park the bus or be more conservative. So I think, especially if Myung-bo is everything that he's talking about here, and once he qualified, he said he was going to really showcase his stuff, and let's do it. Let's run these trials. Let's run these tryouts, whatever we want to call it, during these friendlies and see what we got. And he's got to adjust accordingly. So if he comes out and we play the same style of Chuku that we have been, then we got a problem. Like, these are the friendlies where you test things out, right? It's against better competition, as you stated. They'll play more offensive football against us instead of just sitting back. So, I mean, to be honest, Iraq wasn't really sitting back either until they got the red card. I mean, they were trying to press us and then put us in situations too. So it wasn't like they were just sitting back. We just decided to play conservative, whether it was just going for the draw or what we were doing or why Oseon was in there. And while we were bunging it and not trying to build up, it was, like I said, I'll give him a pass for now. But now that we're in, I need to see something. I need to see something. I need to see him try, experiment, fail, what have you. Just, we need to try something so we know what works, what doesn't work, and then we know what plans that we can actually take to the World Cup and try to succeed.
Yeah, it's going to be a test, because I think in September is when also obviously the European leagues have already started as well. Assuming that Christian Pulisic is kind of back to his usual Christian Pulisic self with Milan, him alone I think is going to pose a problem for our defense. I think we haven't really seen the likes of a player like that, especially in our qualification group. And then with Mexico, obviously you still have some solid attacking players who can, play vertically. So maybe the first game you try out at more of a high octane style that Charles wanted. And if you get burned, maybe you could decide to park the bus a bit against the second team. I'm not sure who we play first. I think we play the US first.
Yeah.
Or maybe you start out defensively a bit. It's hard to tell, because I actually do agree with Charles in the sense that in an ideal world, like, yeah, we would just play with the ball the whole time and just say, screw it, we don't have a 6, just play, just go for it, right? And if we get burned, we lose 5-4 or we win 5-4, right? But I don't know. And I think part of the problem is that just Heung-min has been unwilling to try another number 6. Like, we all know Park Yong-woo sucks. He's terrible, but I don't know how good Park Jin-sub is at this level, because we never really seen him get a chance. We never seen Won Du-jae get a chance as well. I'm trying to look at some of the other CDMs that he called up. I don't think he called up another CDM besides Park Jin-sub along with Park Yong-woo. So again, it's like he's not giving enough of our players chances to play, just playing guys he's familiar with. Again, this is the problem that he had last time when he was manager, and I don't know. Like, it's not going to happen. Even if guys we get packed against the US and Mexico in September, like, we know he's not getting fired, which is kind of depressing because we're stuck with him. But you put on your crystal ball hat. What do you think is going to happen in these games in the fall?
I think we're gonna get cooked. Just because.
Damn, Charles.
But sports is so weird. But like the fact that we struggled, and the points and the results of the table wouldn't show us that we struggled, but we watched every match and every game form, and we saw the silly goals we gave up and how hard it was to score for, like, I can't remember the last time we scored a field goal, man, like a proper one until today. No, I mean like a goal off field play.
Open play.
Open play. That's more of a Klinsmann.
Sorry, my brain is
reminiscent
cooked. My
probably.
bad.
But yeah, like you were saying, a lot of players on, I don't know about Mexico anymore, but US men's national team, a lot of them are in Europe now. So they're playing, and a lot of them are starters, not like bench riders like some of ours. I'm sure they have others in cross championship and other European smaller leagues. So no, it's gonna be a good test, as PJ was saying. Ultimately, I'm not looking like I want to see us trying things, demoing things, figuring stuff out, figuring out lineups. Here's what I'll say. I'll be disappointed if I see the template, the template players. Sonny on the left wing, Kang-in at the right, Chaesung at 10. Like, if we don't see any change, he's still using Oh Se-hoon in America. He hasn't found like a rotation for Min-jae potentially as like, we don't know his health after this Achilles injury. We don't know how his club season's going to go. So yeah, I guess there's going to be more things that will give me a red flag than like any things I'm looking particularly for that'll be like,
Yeah, I'm with Charles. Like I'm not really about the results. We'll probably get cooked if we do try to do different things or try different lineups, but I'm willing to for that risk just to see. Like we have to know who's good enough and who's not good enough. Like we have to set that straight. We can't just keep these guys on the bench and have them in these what if situations and then have all this gray area and not know what we're doing. We have to know what's going to work, what's not going to work, what players are going to start, and what players are going to come in later. And then we have to, I think, clearly find that out before anything else happens. And then you take that and then you move on. And then you're able to prepare for the World Cup with the people that you got. You can't just, as Charles is saying, just go with the template over and over again when it hasn't produced like ideal results. Yeah, we've skated by and we've gotten these wins and we've qualified, but we haven't done it in style. We haven't done it looking great. I feel like we're gonna probably lose against the U.S. I don't know. I don't know if our guys are used to playing in that kind of environment on this side. In the U.S., it might be kind of a foreign thing for them. So it might be some adjustments, whether that's pitch or just how the people are, the fans. I think that would be an adjustment for us. So I see us probably losing one and drawing one. That's kind of how I see it. I don't know to who, but I don't think we'll win either match.
I think honestly though, if we lose both matches, we're all gonna be furious though, right? Like,
Of
because
course, I mean
we're saying we're
that's
gonna
just
get cooked.
natural.
Yeah,
I'm
but we're
going
getting mad.
live.
That's just
I
natural.
want
Yeah,
to
like
win, but
yeah, Charles is going live. Like I don't know when the last time Charles and PJ have seen like these boys in person. I mean, I go back and forth from Seoul, so I do. But like, imagine you go to Jersey. There's gonna be a ton of USMNT fans, right? Like, God bless them, but some of them are so insufferable. Imagine you wearing your Canty jersey, getting cooked 3-0, and have some like drunk frat boy be like in your face. Like, dude, come on, like that. But the thing is, like, not to get too like emotional and sentimental, but that's the danger of shitting your pants at a North American World Cup, because there's going to be a ton of Korean fans there next year at all three of the group stage games, and if you mess this up, it's just going to be a royal humiliation, and it's going to affect generations of fans, right? Because a lot of the Korean American fans and Korean Canadian fans, they don't have chances to watch the national team very often. So this is a big deal. And guys, like you talked about like a template, right? I love that Charles brought that up. This is not the manager to do that though. His whole thing is that he just plays guys he likes. So I think unless we're hit with a rash of injuries, I think unless Park Young-woo blows up his MCL or ACL, and then another striker like Young-jun or somebody we forgot about like suddenly comes back to life, or Cho Gyu-sung decides that he's going to return from the dead, I think we're probably going to see more of the same. And I think we still have to just rely on our two main guys, Lee Kang-in and Son Heung-min, and pray that whatever clubs they play at in the fall, that they're playing well, because without them, I still think we don't have much of a chance. I mean, I like what I saw from Kim Jin-kyu today, but again, it's one match, and I don't know. I think
We're
we
also
really
one man up.
one. Yeah,
Yeah, we
exactly. So
were
I
off
think a
essentially
lot
10
of our
guys.
fake guys depends on where Son Heung-min and Lee Kang-in play next season and how well they do.
I feel like we're recycling. We're under a lot of questions. We have so many questions more than answers right now. Here's one thing I'm certain about. Inbom is like our best player on the national team, or our second best player. It's not Sonny anymore, or like not Kang-in right now, not Min-jae even. It's maybe Chaesung and Inbom, and he should be creating a team around that. I think 걔네들을 살리면 우리 결과도 좋을 것 같아. Like, we need to bring the best out of them I mean, obviously Kang-in and Inbom and Chaesung are going to be pivotal, I think, but Albert, I feel like you're in that template mindset of reverting to Sunny, which all of us are, and this is why this is such a hard task. This is going to be such a tough World Cup. It's like He's directly in the middle of the transition.
Our game already centered around Inbom in terms of progressing the ball to the flanks where Kang-in is. No, I agree with you, Charles. You're right, though.
It
By
is.
the way,
I
we
just mean
should
the way
give.
we talk about it. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, we should give Inbom his flowers, though. I think what you're saying is that he's probably the most consistent player for this national team. He's always showing up. I agree, which is why I think it's even more important that you don't saddle him with somebody like Park Yong-woo. But I mean, like Mr. PSG, what do you think about Charles's takes here?
I gave Hwang In-bum the man of the match today. I felt like he is our rock. He's our most consistent player. He always makes the right play. He's like, I mean, you need those blue collar guys, you know, amongst your sexy, flashy players to do the dirty work to get things started. I don't know if I would put Lee Jae-sung as important. You know, he had a couple free
Look at his heat
chances
map on
today.
SofaScore, man.
I know, but he also
It's
missed a
freaking
header
Park
from 2 feet
Ji-sung.
away. So it's like those kind of like there's a give and take with Lee Jae-sung. I don't think you have a give and take with Hwang In-bum as much. I think Hwang In-bum is just solid all around, but Lee Jae-sung, he's always lacking that something. And you know, through his efforts and all his movement, and he's cutting into the box and making all these, and then like he'll miss like a 2-foot header, and then you're just like, oh, why? So those are the kind of things, like those are the kind of moments I feel like to catch up to him, like in a World Cup match. Like we can't miss those kind of chances in the World Cup. And he's a little bit older too than Hwang In-bum. I do feel like Hwang In-bum really is the solidified rock of our midfield, and you do have to put some talent around him. I think In-bum struggled a little bit under Klinsmann when he was kind of left on an island in the midfield trying to, you know, oh yeah, In-bum, do everything else. All the offensive guys are going to bomb up. You just got to somehow, you know, get out of there and then get the ball out. Like, if we pair him with some talent, like I said, I hate to make it hype him up because it was against 10 players and it was Iraq. Kim Jin-gyu just looks so fluid out there with the ball. You know, sometimes I confused them with Hwang In-bum. They had like similar kind of bopping hairstyles, and I was like, oh, that's Kim Jin-gyu, okay. Because it's so apparent when you compare Hwang In-bum's movement and passing to like Park Young-woo's. Park Young-woo is so flat-footed. He's just kind of standing there. I don't understand like how he contributes to the fluidity of the offense. You just never see it. And it's not like he's some kind of defensive stalwart, like where he's like a wall either. So it's like what does he actually bring to the table? I feel like we're beating a dead horse here because I've said that before on here. But just having that fluidity with somebody else, and you know, I don't think Lee Jae-sung's much of a ball carrier. He's more better off the ball than he is on it. So giving a partner to Hwang In-bum who can kind of spread that pressure, I think makes Hwang In-bum even look better. It gives him more time. It gives him more opportunity to make more offensive decisions. You know, I really do agree with that take that maybe not necessarily we have to build around him, but we have to recognize his talents and kind of build forward with Hwang In-bum and then whoever we're going to set in the offense, which I think is the biggest question on what we're going to do for our top three going forward. You know, if you're going to play Sonny up top, if you're going to go with Oh Young-gyu, or I don't know if Oh Young-gyu is going to be the answer there, and then what's going to happen on the wings. I think that's really important.
I honestly think that depending on how he plays this year, but seeing the way things are going, I think Sonny has to play in the middle. But
I think so.
maybe it's the injury, but I don't think he can really blow past guys anymore. And he'll probably also be doubled as well when he has the ball. So playing him as the cam behind the striker is also a bit iffy. Maybe you play him as the false nine, or you play a two-striker formation where he's like kind of a shadow striker off the shoulder of a bigger guy. Again, it's getting to the point where I don't want to compare him to Ronaldo, obviously, because we have to respect. Sonny is the Korean GOAT, but it's getting to a point where like his legs are going, so you're kind of asking like where do we fit him into this lineup? Because obviously we're not going to drop him. Like he's not coming off the bench. He's the captain. I mean, I don't know, guys. I think for me, I'm leaning towards him playing as more of like a shadow striker and maybe playing a two-striker formation. That also creates holes in other parts of the field, but that might be like the one way to utilize his aging strengths while kind of playing everyone that we want to play in the starting 11.
I can't answer that question right now, man. There's so many dominoes that needs to fall for not just Sonny, like Kang-in, everybody. So Sonny, I'm not out on him because apparently he was hurt. I was so pissed. I was watching the Europa League final with Kev, and I had a Sonny jersey on in a crowd of United fans, and I brought that even though I'm a United fan, just because I was like repping, and Pochettino or Postecoglou didn't even start him, and I was just criticizing him the whole time. But comes out after he was super hurt, like he rushed his Hebok to get back to the game just for the final, and then he didn't even play this match, so that adds credence to that story. So I don't think he's fit right now, and I think this whole season he wasn't fit, and that whole squad was shit. And I think the Spurs stats, even in Sonny's shit form, he created the most goals for them. throughout that team. I guess if Kulusevski wasn't hurt, he might have had something to say for that. But so I'm not out on Sonny playing a pivotal role as a starter. Definitely not 90 minutes. And I love the Ronaldo analogy with the Portugal team, like legend GOAT. I still don't know if Portugal has a better 9 than Ronaldo, though, to be honest. And we're kind of in a similar situation. Do we have a better left wing than Sonny? So I'm not out on him, but I will be out. I will be more out on him if whatever happens this season, right? If I think we don't need to turn this into a transfer center talk, but like he probably stays at Spurs, and then I feel like he'll have a pretty good performance. He's comfortable there. He knows the system. But even their head coach is under question. Like, are they going to fire or not? So too many dominoes to give you a good answer.
No, I'm totally with Charles. The problem is whether we want, even if we want to do that, who's going to play there? Like, we don't have oh yeah, that's the guy who's going to be our left winger now. We just don't have him. Pejino's still under question. Hwang Hee-chan's obviously fallen off a little bit, so it's almost default Sonny to me on the left wing if we go in that formation. And the same thing with the right wing. Even though Lee Gang is not really ideally a right winger, minus Yang Yeonjun, who do we got at the right wing? We don't have anyone that we can just plug and play and say, okay, he'll be good there. That's the kind of stuff that we need to experiment with to see if we have anybody. If not, I don't see any other case other than us going left wing Sonny, right wing Kang-in at the World Cup, unless someone emerges and really
Yamal season.
Someone needs to like step up and just like take the reins. And not to bring up my trip to Europe, but I was pretty disappointed with Yang Min-hyuk when I saw him play. I thought he's physically not ready yet. He was pushed off the ball a lot. He doesn't have the pace I thought he did, that he showed in the K-League. It just wasn't as apparent as it was there in Europe. And if anybody else looked better, it was probably Omji-sung, to be honest, out of those two guys. But unless someone steps up, like you said, and has like a Yamal type of season, a Desiree Doué type of season, I don't see any other option than us going left wing Sonny, right wing Kang into the World Cup.
That's the worst nightmare. I could live with Sonny playing on the left side, Kang-in at right wing. I don't think I could abide by that because teams know that he is probably the most explosive player on this team in terms of like the final third. So if Kang-in was shifted to the middle and we had Sonny on the left side, I could be okay with that. But again, like you guys said, on the right side, who do we have right now? Don't exactly have a dearth of options there either. So just a bunch of holes all over the field that we have. We'll see what happens, guys. Again, it's a long season next year as well, and things can change very drastically in the game of football. No matter what happens, we're going to congratulate the South Korean men's national team for qualifying for their 11th consecutive World Cup. The record for Asian teams, I think it's only bested right now by the likes of Brazil, Argentina, and Germany and Spain. So congrats to the boys for, getting it done and just, cementing a legacy that this team is a perennial World Cup qualifier, which we couldn't really think about in the 90s and 80s. For more content related to KMT and Asian football, don't forget to hit like and subscribe. But for now, stay safe, and we'll see you in the next video to recap the final qualifier against Kuwait.